Sunday. And now I'd like to turn it over to Deborah Belcher to pray us in.
So as we continue in an endless cycle of life where the constant waxing and waning of dark and light, cold and hot, wet and dry, shows up as the manifestation of spirit, we know that wherever we are, there is only this one thing, this one life, this one intelligence, this cycle of life that is always life in its fullness wherever we are on it. And so as we move into this amazing, delicious darkness that is the deep of winter that allows us to go within, we go within with assurance and with delight, knowing that what we find is more life in the form of light. And so we look within for this, knowing that we are the fullness of spirit. And I know that this solstice is the perfect thing for each of us on our next step, in our next unfoldment. That's all that can happen. All we must do is relax and receive it. All we can do is to be it, whatever appearances are in the moment. And I know that this day is this for each of us. I know that this time together is this for each of us, this realizing our wholeness and amplifying that wholeness in joy and in presence and in appreciation and gratitude and potency. And I know that this day, this celebration together, this solstice, each of our lives brings us inevitably to the fulfillment of our possibility, to the simple allowing that to unfold with ease, knowing that all of consciousness is supporting us, expressing as us, and benefiting from our expression, whatever that is. So I know that this divine perfection is a memory of for us in those times when it needs to be there for our support. It is our expression in our work and our relationships, and it is our abundance and our wholeness and health. And knowing this, I'm deeply grateful. I speak these words with great gratitude for each one present, for this ritual of solstice, for the continuous life that we each are, and that is all that there is. And knowing that this time is a full celebration of that in each of our hearts in the proper way for us today. With great gratitude, I release this, knowing that I have simply spoken what was already true, as we say together, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you so much, Deborah, for that wonderful and enlivening contribution to our opening this morning.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
I'm feeling blessed and very grateful to be here for this community, for all of you present. You know, it's always interesting whether we're in face-to-face form or virtually, our numbers present shift, you know, at different times of the year. We've had Christmas services, holiday services where we had very few in live attendance. And I have to say that even though we're small in number today, I feel like we are very potent and very present. So again, I'm grateful to be here with all of you and to have the opportunity to bring the message on this beautiful Sunday. We have arrived, folks. We have made it almost all the way to the end of this incredible experience known as 2020. One of the best Facebook memes I've seen recently is that in years to come, 2020 will be like, oh, it was horrible. It was just a 2020 experience kind of adjective description for what this year has been like. So I really, really have to see that and laugh. So But we are very close to this thing being actual history, and I have to say that I am glad. So much has happened, and so much is happening. Others have mentioned the solstice. In the next 2 to 3 days, we have, to quote the New York Times, Jupiter and Saturn kissing in the sky in a way that has not occurred since the 13th century. Now, Ernest Holmes tells us that we don't need to pay any attention to astrology or anything like that. And I have to just be honest and say, if the dude was alive, I would have to disagree with that. I still do. So it seems like sometimes the stars really do have a lot to say about what's going on this planet. But we've been through so much, and still, we continue to go through stuff across the panorama of life. We just see all kinds of changes, things happening on the economic, political, and even the public health fields. And so many of us that are into a deeper sort of sensate experience with the world at large feel that the sands are really shifting. I think all of us sense that there is change, big change afoot. But, we just don't know what that means for each of us. And we don't know how that portends for the lifestyles that we have decades of being accustomed to. I think that it's true that for every one of us here, we get on a very deep intuitive level that whatever it is that happens that continues to unfold, we're going to have a lot of opportunity as individuals and as a collective, as a species, and as an entity that is responsible in many ways for the stewardship of all of life. We're just going to have lots of opportunity to begin anew. So that is the theme of my message for us this morning. Last weekend, I spent some time on the phone with an old friend of mine from high school, a gentleman who returned to the mountains here in Western North Carolina after living in many different areas throughout his employment career, working in the IT field. My friend Rick helped me gut the center's Lenovo laptop and restore it to its original factory settings so that we can either sell it or perhaps donate it. And in going through that process, it took several hours of instruction over the phone. I had the thought that it would be really nice if we all had a reset button right there, okay? We could push that button. We would be repositioned to some of our factory settings. And, we'd be able to let go of an accumulation of ideas and thoughts and feelings and just generalized stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. But the truth of it is that we can be reset. We, just like our friends in 12-step recovery remind us, have to let go and let God. We have to surrender. One of the things that I subscribe to that comes in my email inbox every morning is a missive from the Franciscan friar, Father Richard Rohr. I know many of you may be familiar with his work. He's written tons of books, and he's really a deep thinker and a great writer. This past week, the theme of his email series has been on navigating what he refers to as self-emptying, allowing ourselves to be liberated from anything that we've taken on that isn't serving us any longer. That might be pain. It might be buying into our own fears or the fears of others, things we see portrayed on the big screen of life. It might even be just a lot of uncertainty, about life in general. Who could say that 2020 would have brought so many questionable scenarios? I think Father Richard has hit the nail, the veritable nail on the head. Because let's face it, people, we've been through a lot this year. A pandemic, a tsunami of chaos and resultant fear from this worldwide illness, a tremendous amount of political upheaval, no matter what your thinking process is around that. And, in thinking about this, I don't think that and I'm not a strong history historian or, knowledgeable about that, but I just don't know that we've ever seen the depth of social division that we have present in this country right now. I know that when I really feel impacted about it, it feels as if my very heart could shatter from the impact, just the strength of how divided we seem to be. So, the bottom line here, or a bottom line, I'm going to have several today, is that we really, as spiritual practitioners, we have a responsibility and a right and a privilege to do what we can to shake off the stuff that is no longer serving us. Father Richard says it in his writing this week, that pain in this life experience is inevitable. It's just part of it. We can't deny it and we can't go around it. And if we are not willing or skilled in working through things and dealing with difficulties, what happens is ultimately we do exactly what we don't want to do. We hand it off to our friends and our families and our coworkers and our nation and the world beyond. And that's not a legacy I want to be a part of. So how do we deal with all this stuff? Well, lately I've been using a technique that, I know I'm a minister, but I stole it. So there, I'll fess up. Ministers do that stuff all the time. Practice, Sylvia. I remember when I first got licensed and somebody said, oh yeah, you can use this. You don't need to give me credit. And I'm like, I was like stealing. And they're like, yeah, we do it all the time here. So, and it's true, we do. But this is something I hacked from a field of study that's called access consciousness. Now you can Google that, access consciousness. What you'll find out when you do that is that the baseline constituent of access is that consciousness can be used wisely to shift or change anything. And isn't that just literally a bottom line in our Science of Mind movement? That we have the capacity through consciousness, through clarity and intention to literally move mountains? We can do it, guys. We see it done all the time. So I've taken a process that Access calls, who does this belong to? And I shrunk it and I abbreviated it and I made it work for me. I call my piece Return to Owner. It's an exceptionally simple way that anything that, that is going on, it might be a feeling or a judgment or an awareness, anything can be considered and it can be lovingly returned to owner if it doesn't really seem to be mine. This tool in Access is based on the awareness that something like 98% of our thoughts, our feelings, our judgments, they aren't ours. They originated with other people. Think about all the stuff that you learned to not believe when you were a teenager that maybe was handed down to you from your parents or grandparents or church or siblings or boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, teachers. Oh my gosh, that's a boatload of stuff right there, okay? There's a lot that we take on and we, a lot of times just don't know it. I see Carol put the word alchemy in chat, and this really is alchemical in nature. I love it. I want to point one other thing out to you about this. Scientists say that on the average, we have something like 60,000 thoughts per day. There are words for that many, but I won't share them here. If we multiply that number, though, by 98, we get 58,800 thoughts that aren't potentially ours. I don't know about you guys, but I got a truckload of my own stuff to deal with. I do not need to be dealing with anybody else's stuff. So there. And if it seems far-fetched and really not very akin to science of mind, to think that we're always absorbing ideas, frustrations, judgments, feelings of others, think again. Go back and look at your science of mind text, where Ernest tells us very clearly that we are living, really, we're swimming in a literal thought atmosphere. Now, science of mind might be the poster child for people who are kind of skeptical or questioning or just not sure about mainstream religious teachings. People who just want to know more. They're like, really? Yeah, and? So if you're doubtful, if you don't believe this, or you're skeptical, or you're just questioning it, if you don't think we take on other people's stuff, this is a challenge for you. Thursday is Christmas Eve. I hope you've done your Christmas shopping, by the way. I don't care anymore. So it's either done or it isn't. But my challenge for you is this. If you don't think that we pick up others' vibes and stuff, on noon Thursday, I want you to get in your car, drive to the largest shopping mall you can get to, and go in and see what it feels like, because it's gross, okay? To use that lovely 13-year-old word, okay? It really applies. It feels manic. It feels crazy. It feels frantic. It might even be scary. I'm not going near any mall Thursday or any other time real soon. Probably it feels all of the above. But why? Because we are sensate beings. We're always picking up all kinds of energetic wavelengths that are around us. And that's not a stupid thing. That is a thing that's throughout the history of humankind, our ability to read, to sense, to know what was going on about our environment. It has kept us alive. It has kept the species alive and humankind continuing. Think about it. If we didn't have that ability to just stick our feelers out, so to speak, and bring in what's going on around us, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So how does return to owner work? I told you it's simple. It really is. The next time something comes up for you, excuse me, it might be some sadness around the holidays and missing people that you're not able to spend time with. It might be some fear around the pandemic or just anything really. What irritation at your neighbors for, setting off firecrackers at 1 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. Hello, really? Wake up, guys. Here's what you do. The next time something comes up, you just say to yourself, return to owner, consciousness attached. And you do that out loud. You say it 10 times to yourself. And you attend during that time what's going on with me in my physical self, in my mind, in my heart, and in my feelings. The first time I really did this and had a strong experience, excuse me, I'm going to drink some water. Maybe that will help. The first time I did this, I had this kind of experience that was cellular, literally, and physical in nature. Think back to when you were a very little child and you were wearing a shirt or a top that didn't have buttons. And when you went to take it off, you couldn't quite manage. And along came an adult who took it from the hem and pulled it up over your head. That was the kind of experience of let go I had the first time I really used this process. Return to owner, consciousness attached. It is amazing how powerful and consistent that is. The folks in Access who have experience with core components of this activity talk about doing this for 3 straight days, doing it with anything, a physical twinge, an emotional feeling, a judgment, an idea that pops into your head. And they say that if you will consistently work this for a couple of days, literally you will feel lighter, you will feel different, like you have been alchemically rearranged. You will feel like you've been meditating for a solid month straight. It's powerful. And again, if it seems like a stretch, remember that in the science of mind movement, we really believe in the power of our words, in what we say and what we put out there. So try it. You don't have anything to lose. What else can we do, friends, to support ourselves in surrendering stuff that no longer serves us? I always find it interesting that no matter what spiritual path I might be considering, one of the practices that's at the top of the list is that of forgiveness. It's there because we as human beings need to let go of stuff that has pained us. A simple, simple way to do this is to just make a list. You might need a lot of paper. I will. Make a list, a written list of every person, every situation, and every scenario that has bugged the doodah out of you this year. Everything from politicians to pets to bankers to IT professionals to bosses to neighbors, all of it. Just put it down on paper. Just 1 or 2 words or a person's name. Then go back and add to it, if it's not long enough, of course, the discomforts and issues that you might be carrying around that still harken from your childhood, because we've all got those things, okay? Sometimes they just don't want to go away. Then what we do is look at each one separately. Is it worth the time? Is it worth the energy or the stress that I'm putting upon myself to continue to carry this weight? Would it matter in 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years? What about 2 decades? What if I only had a few days left to live? What would I do to remedy this situation, to recover from the pain? Think about what's needed here. You can even take return to owner, or consciousness attached, and use that in support of the forgiveness process. And here's an added piece. If you've got situations that you've carried for a while that seem to be really sticky, they just don't want to go away. Here's an idea that comes from that amazing bolt of lightning, Edwin Gaines, Unity Minister. When I was in school, Edwin gave us this teaching to do with ourselves and others. And you can set it to music as a guided imagery if you like. Picture yourself on a stage. See yourself there with the person or the scenario, the situation that is causing you difficulty. Then see whatever it is you believe in. That might be God, or perhaps it's Jesus or Buddha or Kuan Yin, or it's light. Perhaps it's too big to even assign a name to. Really, that's what consciousness is, isn't it? See yourself there with that situation and with the divine, and ask, please relieve the anger, the guilt, the resentment, and most importantly, the resistance to healing this. Do this in non-judgment. You deserve it. I deserve it. The world deserves it. Ask that this situation be fully restored to a state of loving equanimity. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that emerges as you release and surrender to this healing process. And that piece, my friends, brings me to my final suggestion for today. It's interesting to me that in our science of mind teaching, often once we really instill within ourselves an awareness, or the beginnings of an awareness that we are God, we forget that there's still something bigger than that, a bigger truth, the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent reality. One of the best ways to reaffirm that all is right is to simply reset our GPS to a fuller focus on a power that is greater than ourselves. There's a story about Unity Minister James Dillett Freeman. It's one of my favorites. He was not only a minister, but he was pretty much a down-to-earth guy, and he was also a poet. I think he really got how it is to be human and to struggle with these issues of spirituality at times. In 1947, Freeman was facing a life, just a scary life event. He had just been told that his wife, Catherine, who was in the hospital and had had surgery, had terminal cancer. He had been told that the last of her life would be difficult and that it would be short. This shook Freeman surely to his very core. He made his way to the Unity Chapel, and in prayer, out loud, he beseeched, "Where are you, God? Where are you? Where have you gone? If you're here, if you can hear me, please let Catherine live just a little longer. Give us a bit more time. We love each other so. We have things to do." Freeman later related that he heard a clear, audible voice say to him, "Do you need me? I am there." He went back to Catherine's hospital room, and not knowing what else to do, he curled up next to her. Later, he recalled that it was as if all at once a presence entered the room, that the room grew light. He said, "We both knew we were not alone. We felt the comfort of the divine around us." Catherine was discharged. She went home and lived for 10 months. That experience that Freeman and his wife had became the catalyst for a poem that he wrote that is called "I Am There." This is the poem, by the way, that was taken to the moon on microfilm. It's still there, I guess, back in August of 1972 by astronauts James Irwin, David Scott, and Alfred Worden. I'm going to read that now as we close, and then we'll have a piece of one of my favorite pieces of Christmas music from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Here goes. I am there. Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, yet I am the light you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, yet I am the power at work in your hands. I am at work, though you do not understand my ways. I am at work, though you do not understand my works. I am not strange visions. I am not mysteries. Only in absolute stillness, beyond self, can you know me as I am, and then, but as a feeling and a faith. Yet I am there, yet I hear, yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even when you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your fears, I am there. And even in your pain, I am there. I am there when you pray and when you do not pray. I am in you and you are in me. Only in your mind can you feel separate from me, for only in your mind are the mists of yours and mine. Yet only with your mind can you know me and experience me. Empty your heart of empty fears. When you get yourself out of the way, I am there. You can of yourself do nothing, but I can do all, and I am in all. Though you may not see the good, good is there, for I am there. I am there because I have to be, because I am. Only in me does the world have meaning. Only out of me does the world take form. Only because of me does the world go forward. I am the law on which the movement of the stars and the growth of living cells is founded. I am the love that is the law's fulfilling. I am assurance. I am peace. I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by. I am the love that you can cling to. I am your assurance. I am your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you fail to find me, I do not fail you. Though your faith in me is unsure, my faith in you never wavers, because I know you, because I love you. Beloved, I am there. Thank you for being with us this Sunday. Here's a piece of music. Well, it is not showing up. How very interesting. Thank you. Let us step into prayer. Let us step out into this world in consciousness and know and claim for each and every being everywhere that everyone from this point of manifestation forward, as things shift and sands move and lives change, that each and every one has all that they need to do what is theirs to do to bring forth a better world, a greater life, a more fuller experience of the dynamic of life itself, of love itself, in everything, everywhere. Let us, as we step into this holy season, look with eyes that are open to the love that each and every one is at our very core. Let us see that unfolding. Let us know peace across this world. Let us say yes to all good things. We let this go and we know it is done this way, and together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad to put the a link. Actually, there's some great YouTube clips. I'll go and pull one of those here in just a minute. This coming Thursday, Christmas Eve, after you go to the mall, if you have to do that, after you finish all that last minute shopping, okay, please join us at 7 p.m. when our licensed practitioners and ministerial students and others will provide a Christmas Eve candle lighting service. This is a first for all of us on Zoom, so please plan to join us. It ought to be really sweet and wonderful and just a great way to connect during that holy time. If you would like to make a donation to Open Door, you can do that by going to our website. It's www.findadeepertruth.org. Click on the donate button, and at the bottom of the page, there will be a link that will allow you to make a donation either through PayPal or with a debit or credit card. If you prefer, you can mail a donation to us at Open Door CSL, 30 North Ridgepoint, Apartment T as in Townhouse 5, Sylva, North Carolina, 28779. And if you have questions, you're welcome to get in touch either by email or by phone, and we're glad to assist with that. I think that that is all that I have to share. I'm going to turn it over to Sylvia to unmute herself and pray us out.
As we take a breath and embrace that access consciousness, the alchemy, the knowing of the oneness, the wholeness, and the unity that we claim today, that Dr. Barbara claimed today in this magnificent talk. As we each together in this time where there is no time or space, breathe in, knowing that we are that oneness, we are that wholeness. And that as we prepare to conclude this service, this time together, this spiritual community goes with us in our hearts as that oneness, as that unity. That the wisdom that we embrace, the knowledge that lies deep within us of these coming holidays, this time that has been designated by many purposes across the world, that all center around love, joy, giving, and that peace that passes all understanding, that we desire to hold within our hearts as we walk through this plane of life. It is with great gratitude for the technology that allows us to be together, the laughter and the joy that will come following this service, for the magnificence of this day and every day as we choose to embrace it. As we lean into the arms of the beloved and know that we are loved, that we are not alone, that Spirit is always with us, that the love of those in the spiritual community holds us up and embraces us at the times when we need it the most. We can call upon it. And for that, I am grateful. As with great joy, I release this word into the action and activity of the law that has already said yes, that always says yes. Yes, my beloved, it is done. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this last Sunday before Christmas service. Feel free to unmute yourselves and chat and hang out. I'm going to